All right. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. We've got Coach Hauck with Braxton Hill, linebacker, and center AJ Forbes. We'll go ahead and start with Coach's opening thoughts, and then I'll be moderating on a different computer. So raise your hand in the chat function, and I will call on people as best I can to get around. But if there's any issues, let me know in the chat function as well, and we'll try and get it fixed. But Coach, we'll start with your opening thoughts. Just the Griz are back in action this week after a little Christmas break and started focusing on South Dakota State. So take it away.
Great, thanks, Tabes. We're obviously excited to be playing in the FCS National Championship game, and it's been great to have a couple of days off and get back into our game prep. So we're excited to be going to Frisco, Texas. Really excited about the season. I would say congratulations to my team and my guys for a job well done, hard fought, week in, week out. It's always good to get to this game. And then I'd also say congratulations to South Dakota State on a job well done and continuing their win streak and getting the opportunity to try to win back-to-back championships.
Question.
Hi, Coach Hauck. Can you hear me?
I've got you.
Yeah, I was waiting for someone to give me the okay to ask, but well, I hope you're having a great day, a great week. How was your month preparing, your weeks preparing for the championship game?
Well, we're really kind of getting back into it. We practiced a few days. By the way, I hope you're having a great day as well. But we practiced a couple of days last week, and then we gave the guys off a few days for Christmas. We reported back here Christmas Eve. We're back into training mode and practice mode. We'll we'll practice through the game.
Well, with Junior Bergen and Tucker Large, punt coverage could have a huge role in this game. What stands out the most to you about their special teams, and how big of an impact would you say that unit has played on the season on both teams?
Well, it kind of epitomizes the game, you know. You don't get to this game without being a really good football team and being good in all three phases. And, you know, both teams are good in the special teams area. Junior's production over the last two games has been all-time great. He's done a great job, and you know we know that he can turn a game. We also know that South Dakota State's guys can do the same, so it should be a good battle in the special teams area.
Well, the Jackrabbits have a very experienced and senior-landed team, and some of their players have been in this game more than once. How big of an advantage would you say experience may be for them?
Well, I think that having been there a year ago and contributing a lot, there's certainly some benefit to that. I think the experience of being down there and knowing the process, knowing the venue, I mean, everything from knowing where the locker room is to how the lead up to the game times out. I think that's a benefit to those guys. We didn't have that a year ago like they did. But we'll try to mitigate that, because a lot of us have played in this game before.
Well, my next question is for AJ. AJ, I hope you're having a great day. What stands out the most to you about their defense, and has your preparation for them been any different than at any other point of the season?
Yeah, I hope you're having a great day too, man. Now, when I look at their defense, they're a very sound team. Everybody plays downhill. They try to squeeze the interior gaps and try to spill most of the run game. They're solid in their pass rush. frankly, the teams that we've played in the playoffs this year, they're similarly structured in that way. But you know, they're a good defense, man. They wouldn't be here without that defense, and yeah, so.
Yeah. Well, my last few questions are for Braxton. Braxton, hi. I hope you're having too a great day. What are the main difficulties when preparing for this Jackrabbits offense, given how multiple they are?
Yeah, for sure. I hope you're having a great day too. But you know, I'll go off AJ what he said about their defense. You know, their offense is just sound. You know, you turn on the film and they got a great offensive line. They got great skill players, good quarterback, good running back. I mean, I think there's a reason they're playing in this game and they've won so many games in a row. But yeah, they're just sound across the board.
Well, in my last question is, what stands out the most to you to Mark Gronowski? Mark Gronowski.
Yeah, I would say he's efficient. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He's just comfortable in their scheme, and you know, he's the man in charge, and he does a good job of just leading their entire team.
Well,
You
to
don't
the three of you,
don't win that many games in a row without a great quarterback.
yeah, definitely. Well, to the three of you, thank you for your time. Thank you for answering my questions, and good luck on Frisco.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Craig Haley next.
Yeah, sorry about that. Appreciate the time. There we go. Appreciate the time, gentlemen. Wanted to ask, I mean, you could start with Coach, but if all three could answer this question, I'd really appreciate it. Just last year, going into the 2022 season, your team really had a lot more, you know, fanfare and you know, a higher national ranking going in. But look at the difference where you're at now compared to last season. What has been the difference with this particular team when it maybe was a little more under the radar than a year ago?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is we've stayed healthier and we've been more mature up front on offense. So we've been able to handle some of the better defensive lines and some of the better defenses a little better. But it all goes back to staying healthy. Each of the last two teams, 21 and 22, had potential to be where we're sitting now and weren't able to get there. Last year in particular, I think it was a matter of we played, I don't know, 4 of the top 5 on the road over a 6-week span, and that's a tall task, especially for a team that was as injured as we were.
AJ and Braxton, could you give your thoughts on that topic? What's different this year than recent teams?
Yeah, I'll throw in a little bit. I'd agree with Coach Hauck, you know, just staying healthy, but also I think our entire team's just done a good job of improving throughout the entire season. You know, if you look at our first game against Butler to our last game against North Dakota State, we look like a different team, and I think that's just testament to the guys inside of the locker room and the coaches just going to work each and every day.
Yeah, like Coach Hauck said, I think the past 2 teams understood the ability that we had to be in this game, but we've stayed healthy. We've put our nose to the grindstone, and we've just gotten better every week.
Sure. Just one more, Coach. Can you talk about, you know, South Dakota State, you know, they're just on such a roll with 28 straight wins, but your team has such an opportunity here. You've been in this situation, you know, 3 times with the national championship game. What are you trying to impart on your players, just the, you know, magnitude of this moment?
Well, we've played in a lot of big games
Sure.
over the past few seasons, and I think a lot of the games that we have played in have prepared us for this game. Even in recent weeks, top highly ranked teams and, you know, huge games.
Sure.
One of the things about this game is we've had the ability to not rush into our preparation. Used to be we'd cram in a practice on Sunday and Monday and then fly out to Chattanooga and try to play on Friday night. Our preparation will be better. So we're working on the prep. A lot of our coaches have coached teams and prepared them for bowl games. The preparation for this game is very similar. So we just, you know, we've got to be ready to go on that Sunday when we get to tee it up. You know, our opponent's really good. Like you mentioned, you don't win that many games in a row without being a dominant football team. And, you know, we got our hands full. These guys are really good. You know, our preparation's got to be great to have a chance.
Gentlemen, thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Craig. We'll keep going down the line. Tanner, you're up next.
Hey guys, you guys did play the Bison recently, but outside of them, the only common opponent that you two have is Montana State, who South Dakota State played early in the season, who you guys played last in the season. Speaking of preparation, I was curious as to how long, if any, will you watch that film of them against Montana State?
Well, there's a lot of games to go back and watch. And it's nice to have a couple weeks time to get back. And so we'll get through all the games. You know, the North Dakota State games are more recent for both of us. So probably have some application. You know, looking at their schedule, you know, they haven't had very many close games. So we'll probably look at some of those and see how people kept it close. But again, we have a lot of games to watch and a lot of film time to do it, which is great.
One last question too. With the way that your last game ended in such a hectic way, great win, are you more comfortable getting time off to kind of reset yourself, or are you more comfortable usually continuing to play week after week when you guys are just finding ways to win in dramatic ways?
Well, when you get to this point in the season where you've played that many games, time off's valuable both to refresh the body and train a little bit, clear the mechanism to focus in on the next opponent. As I mentioned earlier, when Craig asked the question, you know, we used to plan this game on the next Friday and we didn't have very good preparation for it. So I think this is a benefit for us to have some time. I mean, they've got the same benefit, but I know it's good for us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tanner. We'll go to Chris next.
Hey, Coach Hauck, I just got a question for you. You were with Montana when they were establishing themselves as an FCS power. The Jacks are kind of in that same situation coming off their first national title. You know, have they done anything that's kind of similar to what you did in your first stint with the Grizzlies, or do you see any differences between what South Dakota State has done?
Well, we had some history with my life. I like your background. You got the Ghosts, you got the Twins, you got the Vikings. That might be my brother getting beat for a touchdown in that Vikings picture. I'm not sure. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. I got it. So with Coach Stigemeyer, who's a friend, we had some great battles with them. The one thing that I think, in my perspective, and I'm not the expert on South Dakota State, they are, but my perspective is they've had great continuity. They've built their team, and this started with Coach Stig, and it's carried on. They built their team to win their conference first, which if you can win that conference, you have a chance to win the championship. They've got a formula for it, whether it's recruiting or style of play. Obviously, there's different things they're able to do based, like all coaches do, in moving the scheme around a little bit. But they are going to be a athletic, big, physical, sound football team that can win the game in the trenches and then have enough players on the outside on either side of the ball and in the kicking game to hurt you. And they're on a roll right now. They're 2 years without losing a game.
Do you think I lost my own train of thought trying to think of my second question here, but you guys mentioned how SDSU's defense is sound. They're consistent. They've been a great defense all year, but have they done anything in the last month or so when you've been watching tape that has made them an elite defense?
Well, they've been elite all year. They've been elite. I mean, when you look at the numbers, they're giving up less. There's nobody even close in the country. So we say they're sound. We're talking about their scheme is sound. Okay. We're not talking about them being average or something like that. They're an absolute elite, great defense. They're the best defense in the FCS. You know, I mentioned I mentioned, you know, they're physical, they're tough, their weight room is not broken. I sat and watched the FBS National Championship last year with Coach Stig, and we were able to talk about the championship game last year. I said, man, you guys just manhandle everybody, and it starts with their defensive line. But you know, the scheme is sound. How they play is great. I mean, they're outscoring their opponents 537 to 136 right now. They're giving up less than 10 points a game. I mean, they're dominant. So I'm glad we got 2 weeks to try to find a hole in their defense, because there aren't any.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thanks, Chris. Greg, good to see you, Greg.
Hey, Eric. Thank you. How's it going, Bobby?
Good.
Congrats on the season so far. I wanted to ask about your brother Tim, and maybe you can just talk about kind of the impact he's had on your defense this season. I could be wrong, but you know, someone of that kind of experience maybe doesn't fit the mold of a defensive analyst, maybe at this level of college football. So what kind of an impact has he had on your defensive performance this season?
Well, you know, I think one of the strengths of our staff in general is the experience that they've got in the background. The guys in our staff know a lot of ball. But the idea that we can have a guy with Tim's playing and coaching experience and at the different levels he's coached at, I mean, all the different places, I mean, a long time in the NFL. You know, obviously the family ties has afforded us that he wants to come in and do that and be around it. So he loves Montana. He loves the Montana Grizzlies. And he loves being here with this staff. But he's, you know, some of the coverage things he's added, you may not, unless you're a football coach, you might not notice some of the things we're doing, but some of the coverage things that we've done and enhanced this year that I would attribute to him have been really beneficial to us. You know, we've been playing great defense around here for quite a while now, but he's really had an impact on the back end.
And then just one more for me. You know, I don't think you guys have played on grass this season. And so
I don't know anybody that has.
right.
Nobody
and
in the northern tier of the country, that's for sure.
yeah. And
Anyway, go ahead.
Maybe just a thought on that aspect of the game. I don't know. You know, both teams have to play on it, obviously. So will that play any kind of a role at all or affect your preparation at all?
The fake grass is much more similar to real grass than the old AstroTurf ever would be, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got similar give, similar inconsistencies even. But we practice during fall camp and then on our heavy practices through until the weather gets too bad. But we're on grass a lot, so I don't think it'll be a big deal for us. I mean, we're on grass a lot.
Right. Yeah. Well, thanks, guys.
Sure.
Thanks, Greg. Zach, we'll go to you next. Just so everybody knows, we're trying to wrap this up before team meeting. So we're going to go about 15 more minutes max.
Hey, thanks, guys. Question for the players, for either one or both of you. Obviously, you beat NDSU. Certainly, SDSU is obviously, they're basically 1 and 2 every year in their conference. Where do you see the Jackrabbits kind of comparing with NDSU in terms of where are the similarities, where are the Jackrabbits going to be better? Because that's probably, other than the Montana State game, that's certainly the most recent and comparable opponent you can compare.
Yeah, I mean, as far as their defense goes, I think their structures are similar. I think they like to squeeze the interior gaps. They like to spill a lot of things. In the run game, they like we've been saying this whole press conference, they play really sound defense. They understand each player understands what their role is on every particular play, and that makes it difficult to go against a defense like that. But it's gonna be a good game. I'm excited for the opportunity to go up against those guys, and it'll be a good game.
And in terms of similarities from two of their teams on offense, I'd say they're both really good offenses, and I see a lot of similarities on the offensive line. They both have tremendous offensive lines, but South Dakota State is a little bit different than North Dakota State's offense. So, I mean, we're not going to be translating too much there, but I'd say they definitely just have big, strong offensive linemen for sure.
I guess also with the Jackrabbit offense, you kind of have to be a little more aware of their run game because obviously Davis is the big hitter at running back, but they bring in those two backups, the Johnsons, a couple other guys. I mean, are they kind of do you have to be a little more aware of their multiple kind of formations, multiple guys they can kind of bring in?
Yeah, for sure. We'll have to be aware of everything they're doing and whether they're moving or motioning guys or trading for sure. But, they're going to want to run the ball. And like you said, they're versatile. They got good receivers on the outside, good running back, a quarterback who can run, and good offensive line. So we'll have our hands full.
And then finally, Coach, you touched on this, but a little irony here. Obviously, you coached against SDSU in their first ever playoff game, and it's one that's still pretty well remembered, I think, for both sides from 2009. And the guy you're coaching against was actually playing in that game. So how much do you feel has changed? Obviously, you can say a little bit about South Dakota State, but how much different do you feel coaching in a game against them now, some 14, 15 years later, after that classic game of 2009?
It was 14 years later. I'm not going to make you let you make me any older.
My bad Colorado State math. Sorry about that.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, that's ag school. Don't worry about it. We hope you got a sense of humor.
I do. Thank you.
South Dakota State was tremendous at the time. I mean, if you ask some of our players from that game, we were the #1 seed in the tournament that year. And, because it's so, at the time in particular, it was so regional. First thing I told our team was, this is not the number 16 team, guys. This is one of the top 5 teams in the country. And they came in here and proved it. I think we were down 4 touchdowns, basically about the start of the fourth quarter, and came back and won the game. It's probably the great comeback in our stadium's history, considering the stature of the two teams in the game. It was just great football, and I think this one will be great football again. These are two good football teams.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks, guys.
Sure.
Thank you.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go with Andrew next.
Hey, Coach, just one question for you. After SDSU beat Villanova, their head coach said if you want to beat SDSU, you got to play a really clean game. Is that something that you'll put extra emphasis on heading into this game, not turning the ball over and avoiding, big penalties?
Well, I think that's a key in every game is the turnover margin. Usually if you get to this time of year, the two teams that are playing, or even if you go the last couple of weeks, the teams that are still involved probably have a pretty decent advantage in the turnover game. So I think turnovers and takeaways have direct impact on every football game for the most part. And then, you can't have a bunch of administrative penalties, that's for sure.
Thanks, Coach.
I think Kansas won the other night with 300 yards of penalties, so I don't know.
Thanks, Andrew. Zach, last one from you.
Moving out to doing well. My first question is to AJ. Offensive line chemistry is so big. For you, looking from game one to now, how much is the offensive line gelled, and what is it like playing with a unit like that as you guys have established yourselves and even helped a young freshman running back like Eli go on and win the J.A. Rice Award?
Yeah, I mean, I think coming into this season, we were in a unique position to where, in the modern day of college football, where all 5 starters returned from the previous season. And like you said, chemistry is everything on the offensive line. I've known these guys for 3+ years at this point. Each and every one of us has improved on the things that we've needed to improve on, while simultaneously working together as a unit to do what we need to do to win football games. So I'm super proud of the unit that we've developed over the course of these last 2 years, and roll that on into Frisco.
In my last final question, Coach, quarterback Clifton McDowell, you made the switch to him as the primary signal caller midway through the season. What have you seen from his development, and what are you expecting from him in this game?
Well, Cliff's gotten better through the season. I think he's worked hard to improve. I think he's worked hard on learning the game, understanding our offense, all those different things that go hand in hand with playing, preparing for the games. But there's no substitute for playing. I think in particular at that position. But the only way to get better at football is to play it. And he's played a lot, and he's improved through the season.
All right, thanks, everybody. We're gonna have to wrap it up there. Team's got meetings soon. This press conference will be archived on the NCAA's media hub and also on gogriz.com. Appreciate everybody, and reach out to me if you need anything.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah.